Welcome back to another episode of the Rational Football League Show. My name is Emmett Sward. I am here with my co-host Brendan Ford.
What's up, y'all?
You guys can, as usual, find us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. But with that, we are going to jump right into our segments. We have a couple cool topics today. We are going to be discussing Justin Fields divorcing the Bears. We're going to be looking at who's going to be the future quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Last but not least, we're going to be looking at Malik Nabers as a prospect. What are his weaknesses? Does he have any weaknesses? Stick around, guys. Watch those later. We'll see you in the segments. So what opportunities does Justin Fields have left? At this point, not much. All the teams that were rumored to be interested in Fields are no longer looking for a starting quarterback. The Falcons signed Cousins, the Raiders brought in Minshew, and the Steelers signed Russell Wilson. Fields will most likely be a backup quarterback in 2024, unless something drastic happens. The best situation for Fields' career at this point would be to go to...
First off, I'm a Bears fan, and I love Justin Fields. He has repped the city of Chicago well from his very first day here, ever since the Bears drafted him in 2021. He has a toughness to match the city, and he can withstand the Bears fan base. And I kind of laugh when I say that because, as some of you may know, the Bears fan base is crazy. And he kind of brought just a lot of joy and hope back to a franchise that was just starving for something, right? We were dealing with passing up on Patrick Mahomes for Mitchell Trubisky. And who can forget the double doink of the 2018 playoffs with Cody Parkey? Like, we just needed something to hang on to. And at times, he felt like a franchise savior. It didn't always translate to wins, but he felt like one of us. We all hoped and wanted Justin Fields to be our guy finally. Like, we finally have our guy. But at this point in time, this feels as though there's too many factors going against him, right? And those are factors like financial factors, performance-based factors, and this weird situational stuff. So while divorcing someone is closing one door, it is opening another door. And so as we are saying goodbye to what feels like a close friend, you have to wonder where Justin Fields goes next.
First, let's look at the factors that are leading to this divorce. It really doesn't make any sense to say goodbye to someone without wondering what led the Bears to this decision. First, we have the financial factor. Drafting Caleb Williams allows the Bears to reset the quarterback clock, aka it allows the Bears to spend money on other premium positions. This point is being regurgitated in the sports media circuit for quite some time, and that's because simply it's just factually true. Ryan Poles is able to spend money somewhat freely at other premium positions because he doesn't need to pay a quarterback a large contract for another 3 to 4 years, if Caleb Williams pans out. That leaves more cap space to re-sign current stars like Jalen Johnson and bring in new ones like Montez Sweat. Fields' next destination should be a spot that has a solid roster with young talent and just needs a quarterback like him to put them over the top.
Next, we have the performance-based factor. Justin Fields has not shown that he can be a franchise guy yet. And at this point, that is unlikely to happen going into year 4. Yes, we say all the time as Bears fans, he did face some roadblocks. I don't think many people will argue with that. He got the short end of the stick. He really did. For example, he had multiple play callers in his rookie year. Not to mention that he had a lame duck head coach too. So going into second year, he had a brand new coaching staff, and the Bears going through a complete gut job of a rebuild. He really had no one around him. Like, we would wake up on Sundays just being like, yeah, we're going to lose by 20 points, but at least Justin Fields is playing today. And then finally, go into his third season, right? After having 2 crappy years, his third season is supposed to be the make it or break it year for him. And at the first 3 weeks of the season, it almost seemed as though the coaching staff was going against him, which he kind of alluded in a press conference in the early stages of the season. So he definitely got the short end of the stick here. It was definitely has not been fair for him. And I know around the Bears fan base circuit, we say all the time, well, if we put more around Fields, he would be better, right? If XYZ didn't happen to him, he would be a franchise guy. And you can't really go off that. You have to go off what you see. We have to watch the film. And then we have to go look at the stats to back up what we see on the film. And sometimes he's just not doing the right stuff, right? And not to mention, looking at a hypothetical potential gets people fired. And let's all remember, too, that Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus are pretty much fighting for their careers at this point. So did Justin Fields show that he can be a starter in this league? I do believe that he did. I wholeheartedly believe that he's a top 32 quarterback. Now, did he show that a team should throw a franchise quarterback contract at him? No, he has not yet. Based, again, on the film and stuff that he has been shown or showing as of right now. Would you risk a trip, right? Would you risk yourself getting fired on the back of Justin Fields and maybe leading the Bears to the playoffs right now? Most people would not take that bet. So he needs to find a place, in my own opinion, that has a long-term coach in place right now, or maybe a recently hired head coach that can afford to take that risk on him.
Finally, we have the situational factor. It is very difficult to secure the top spot in the draft in subsequent years. It's even more difficult to pass up on the top quarterback prospect in back-to-back years, especially when one of those prospects is considered the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. Justin Fields is serviceable, and I do believe a team can win with him if he has great talent around him. But he is a lower-tier quarterback right now, and it comes down to this. Can the Bears win the Super Bowl with Justin Fields right now? The answer is simply no. Therefore, the team could swing for the fences, again, to find a quarterback that is of championship caliber. In this case, that quarterback is Caleb Williams. We saw last year how much of an impact a great rookie quarterback can have when Stroud took Houston deep into the playoffs. The Bears might as well swing for the fences with him and let Fields go to a team that can actually let him develop.
And as painful as it is to say right now, I do believe the Bears will trade Justin Fields. I'm about 98% sure of that. And that's just based off what the expert insiders are saying. Me, my own self, I'm only leaving a 2% margin of error because anything can really happen. We don't know for sure. Ryan Poles did not came out and said directly that he's drafting Caleb or a rookie quarterback or anything like that. So, but it does feel as though the Bears will trade Justin Fields and draft a rookie, and presuming that will be Caleb. And again, like, people have kind of brought up, like, what about this notion of keeping Fields and Caleb on the roster on the same team in 2024? And that really does the Bears no good, right? It also does Justin Fields no good. It does Caleb no good. And just overall, the entire org, that's just not good. Justin Fields also has one of the best agents in the game right now. His agent is David Mulugeta. Sorry if I'm saying that name wrong. So Fields in his camp would force a trade, or at least like demand a trade, request a trade before he even got to the point. And they would definitely request a trade if he was still on the Bears roster after the NFL draft. So now you're probably asking yourself, okay, if the Bears are so headstrong on Caleb right now, how come Fields hasn't been traded as of March 14th? To be honest, I have no clue. Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter kind of voiced conflicting reports back on March 12th, whereas the former stated that the Bears have not begun shopping Justin Fields yet, and the latter stated that no teams are actually interested in Justin Fields. So which one is true? Your guess is as good as mine. But for what it's worth, I kind of believe both of them. And before you might say that sounds, wishy-washy, let me explain my thoughts here. I personally believe that Ryan Poles is waiting until they meet with Caleb on the top 30 visit to actively place Justin Fields on the trade block. Why? Because Ryan Poles simply wants to gather all the info that he can about Caleb before he kind of sets it in stone that he wants to draft Caleb. He even said it his own self that the NFL draft is an information game, and he will definitely turn over every single stone, as this, decision is really a make or break for his career, right? This is probably the biggest choice that he has had to make so far in his GM career. And all in all, I think he kind of wants Caleb's medicals, but more importantly, he wants to spend the entire day with Caleb. And he wants the staff to kind of, spend time with Caleb too, to get to know Caleb as a person. Like, does he fit with this org? Does he gel with our coaching staff, right? So I think that's really what Ryan Poles is after right now. And sure, you might be telling yourself, well, he met with Caleb at the combine. Isn't that enough time? No, it's not. He met with Caleb for 10 minutes, right? And that's definitely not enough time to get to know someone, especially when this is a career-altering move. I know I want to risk my career on someone that I just met after 10 minutes. That's definitely not going to happen. So I believe Poles is placing less of an importance on the draft capital that he will get in return for a Justin Fields trade, because he needs to get this choice right? He wants to feel 100% conviction behind this choice, because getting a franchise quarterback is I can't even stress, this is way more crucial than a pair of day 2 or day 3 picks. Like, it doesn't even come close. So he needs to get this choice right, and he's willing to wait until the top 30 visit to meet with Caleb and then put Justin Fields on the trade block. So again, you might not believe this, but there is a reason why the Bears wanted to meet with Caleb 48 hours after the combine ended. I'll say that again. They wanted to meet with him 48 hours, but they agreed to kind of push that meeting back after the USC Pro Day. Now, you may be saying, okay, so that's Ian Rappaport's side. Why do I believe Adam Schefter? And for that reason, it's pretty simple. If Ryan Poles was offered a top draft pick, right? So, for example, if the Falcons offered the 8th overall pick for Fields, do you think he would have turned down that pick? There's no shot. If you think the Steelers would have offered the 20th overall pick for Justin Fields, do you think he would have turned that down? No. So there simply has not been any high draft pick offers yet. Now, teams may have submitted feelers, which is just simply calling the Bears and asking what the cost would be for a trade. But at that point in time, maybe Poles was just trying to get an appraisal for Justin Fields. Whatever that rate was, it probably was enough for him to kind of jump at it. So to Ryan Poles, maybe the opportunity cost of trading a 4th and a 6th right now is just not good enough. Like, it's just that is not enough there. Now, again, this going back to my earlier point, I did leave a 2% chance that Justin Fields will not be traded. So it is possible that Justin Fields could be Ryan Poles' plan B. But again, I highly doubt that unless Ryan Poles find something truly detrimental about Caleb, I would expect Caleb to be the starter for the Bears 2024 and beyond, and Justin Fields will get moved sometime soon. So teams could be interested in Fields, but not as a starter, more as a backup.
So what opportunities does Justin Fields have left? At this point, not much. All the teams that were rumored to be interested in Fields are no longer looking for a starting quarterback. The Falcons signed Cousins, the Raiders brought in Minshew, and the Steelers signed Russell Wilson. Fields will most likely be a backup quarterback in 2024, unless something drastic happens. Divorce is hard and usually followed with a lot of sadness, anger, and of course, rebuilding. But let us know in the comment section what you think Justin Fields will go next. Until next time, we're the RFL Show. All right, thank you so much, guys, for sticking around for that Bears segment. I know it's kind of an emotional one. Bears fans are going through a lot with that change. I know Justin Fields has really meant a lot to that fan base in that city, and it sucks to see him go, but hopefully he's able to turn around somewhere else. With that, we're going to be looking onto our next segment for another NFC North team in the Minnesota Vikings, who just lost their quarterback to the Atlanta Falcons. Where do they go from here? Have the tea leaves already been set, and can we read them to determine who their future franchise quarterback is going to be? We'll see you guys in that segment. This last piece of evidence is so important that I believe it'll point us directly to who the next quarterback of the Vikings will be. Honestly, it's so obvious, it's almost like the Vikings were trying to telegraph the move to the rest of the league. The Minnesota Vikings have just lost Kirk Cousins to the Atlanta Falcons in free agency. He leaves the team finishing top 3 in wins, passing yards, and touchdowns in Vikings history. It's not a stretch to say he was the best Vikings quarterback since Fran Tarkenton was running around for them in the 70s. His departure leaves an obvious question, though. Where do the Vikings go from here? If you clicked on this video, you know the right answer is in the draft. But who should they take?
At the time of this recording, which is about a week into free agency, the Vikings have signed Sam Darnold to a 1-year deal. Darnold is a okay backup, but contrary to what Colin Cowherd might think, he is not a franchise quarterback. Darnold has been plagued with turnover problems, even back to his college days at USC, where he threw 13 picks in his last season for the Trojans. In the NFL, he has 81 turnovers to the 63 touchdowns. Pair that with a quarterback rating in the high 70s, and you basically have the anti-Kirk Cousins. Darnold should be expected to be a mentor at best for an incoming high draft pick at quarterback, which is kind of ironic because Darnold's mentor was Josh McCown, who was a QB coach for the Vikings.
While the Darnold signing doesn't directly tell us who's going to be the quarterback of the future for the people in purple, it may actually give us a hint at the Vikings draft plans. Usually good teams like to keep their quarterback rooms similar. That way, if the starting quarterback goes down with an injury, the play caller doesn't have to change up their entire play style to accommodate a quarterback that has a different strength. Think of it like this. If your starting quarterback is Lamar Jackson, a guy known for his running and extending plays, you don't want the backup quarterback to be Jimmy Garoppolo, a guy who can't run to save his life and who needs to get the ball out of his hands quickly. So with that in mind, we need to look at what Darnold does well to try to figure out what that best fits in this draft.
Darnold is known for having a great arm talent. He's able to throw the ball with a bunch of different arm angles, and he can make special wow moments like this.
30-yard pass from Darnold to Berrios on the scramble.
Darnold scrambling for his life, but you look, there's not much room to throw an inaccurate.
He is also known for being fairly mobile. He isn't a guy that's going to blow you away with his speed, but he can keep a play alive if he has to or if he's facing pressure. So right off the bat, we can kind of get rid of a couple quarterbacks from this draft class then. First is Caleb. Caleb Williams is likely going to be the first overall pick to the Bears. And next we have Jaden Daniels. Daniels has a play style that's somewhat similar to Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson. So while he is a good passer, what really sets him apart from other quarterbacks is his ability to create with his legs. He can turn a dead play into a highlight reel with the ability to take off and extend plays. That doesn't really fit with the quarterback room that KOC has in place right now, nor does it fit the offensive system. So who does that leave us with? Well, with ruling out Williams and Daniels, we are down to 3 potential first-round quarterbacks. First is J.J. McCarthy, second is Drake Maye, and third is Bo Nix. The next logical step would look at the coaching staff to see if we can pull away any answers about the Vikings quarterback's plans from them.
First thing we notice, Kevin O'Connell loves to attack the middle of the field. Over the last 3 years, the Vikings have finished in the top half of the league in attempts in that intermediate range. So we're looking at 10 to 19 yards down the field. Cousins even finished first in 2022 in attempts, as well as on his way to repeating that performance again this past season before he went down with an injury. So that tells us already we can probably rule out Bo Nix. Bo had over 65% of his passing attempts go for 9 yards or less the last 2 seasons at Oregon, with 28% of all of his passing attempts being behind the line of scrimmage. Not really the downfield passer KOC would be looking for, so that narrows the list down to 2 guys, Drake Maye and J.J. McCarthy. But there's one last piece of crucial evidence on the coaching staff. This last piece of evidence is so important that I believe it'll point us directly to who the next quarterback of the Vikings will be. Honestly, it's so obvious, it's almost like the Vikings were trying to telegraph the move to the rest of the league. Before we reveal who the Vikings' next franchise quarterback is going to be, though, Don't forget to like the video and hit the subscribe button. And with that shameless call to action out of the way, drum roll please. The next quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings will be Drake Maye. Josh McCown actually coached Maye when he was at Miles Park High School, where he threw for over 3,500 yards and 50 touchdowns his senior year. McCown was the Panthers quarterback coach last year and was fired essentially because he was on the wrong side of the Bryce Young-CJ Stroud debate. David Tepper wanted Young, and McCown preferred CJ Stroud, the tall, big-armed quarterback that was mobile enough to extend plays. Sound familiar to anybody? Minnesota brought McCown in because he is already familiar with Maye, having coached him before, and could more than likely get the most out of the raw quarterback. Sam Darnold will act as the bridge quarterback and will mentor Drake for his first season before Maye takes over in 2025.
So there you go, Viking fans. Looking at more than just the simple connection between McCown and Drake Maye, there's a lot of different evidence to support this theory. But tell us what you all think. Do you think the Vikings can draft Drake Maye, or do you want them to draft someone else? Until next time, it's been the RFL Show.
Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for staying through that Viking segment with us. Hopefully you told us what you thought about Drake Maye going to the Vikings. That's a crazy move, right? But I think it's going to be one that's going to set the Vikings up for a long time with their franchise quarterback. With that in mind, we're going to be turning our attention to our final segment of the episode. We're going to be looking at Malik Nabers. He's such a clean prospect. He's been compared to Marvin Harrison Jr., but does he actually have a couple glaring weaknesses that are being overlooked? We'll see you guys in the segment, all right? LSU is known for putting out big name receiver prospects, from Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson to Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry. This year is no exception. The latest Bayou Bengals to make the leap to the NFL are Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Nabers. Today, we're going to be focusing on the latter of the two. But don't worry, Brian, we will be coming back for you in a later video. Nabers does a lot of things well, but no prospect is perfect. There are some holes in his game he will need to clean up at the NFL level. Before we start looking at what he needs to fix, we should start with the player he reminds us the most of. Malik Nabers reminds us the most of another former LSU standout, Jamar Chase. Malik, like Chase, is best known for his movement skills. He has the ability to change direction like only a few players in NFL history can. I mean, just watch this play right here.
On second down, Daniels pulls it back, fires again. That's the first down to Malik Nabers.
The ability to just flip from the corner's inside leverage to outside really does take a special kind of athlete to pull off. Nabers' movement skill also allows him to be one of the best yards after catch receivers in this draft, much like his predecessor at LSU. Plays like this.
They bring a blitz, Daniels to throw, wide open, and it's Malik Nabers. The nation's leading receiver stays on his feet, down to the 30, all the way down to the 20. What a run by Nabers.
Really show how special he can be with the ball in his hands. Skill set isn't the only similarities he has with Chase, though. Both stand at about 6 feet and 200 pounds and are both from Louisiana. But unlike Chase, there are some holes in Nabers' game that he can improve on.
The biggest weakness in Malik Nabers' game can honestly be boiled down to his inexperience. Nabers will be 21 when he starts his rookie season. His route running, while good, could be improved to better set up defenders and generate more separation at the catch point. Nabers can be better at recognizing zone coverage and sitting down in those gaps in coverage. Plays like this.
Daniels looking end zone for Thomas. He was covered. Now to the backfield.
Can become touchdowns if he just throttles down in the hole between the two linebackers. All in all, this will come with more reps and more experience, and this should not cause fans or front office people any real concern. Nabers is one of the cleanest prospects, and he is a lock to be a top 10 pick. But tell us what you think. What is Malik Nabers' biggest weakness? Until next time, we have been the RFL Show.
Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for sitting through that Malik Nabers segment. Hopefully you enjoyed all the segments in this episode. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, that like button, and share it to your friends. We do this every week. We hope you guys enjoy it. Feel free to head down to the comment section and tell us what you think is a topic we should cover next week. Don't forget you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Until next time, I'm Emmett. This is my co-host B, and we're the RFL Show.